Hi, and welcome to another edition of Encounters. And today in Encounters, I want to talk to you about uncertainty, life's uncertainties. You know, have you ever asked yourself, why is life so uncertain? Why don't things just go the way that I want them to go? You know, I had really planned to be on the outside today doing this video, but guess what? The rain fell, it was wet, and I had to change plans, right? I just really didn't expect that, but guess what? I had to keep calm, carry on, I had to adjust. Listen, have you ever made some really great plans, and when the time came, absolutely nothing that you planned for, nothing went according to plan? Life is just like that, so uncertain. We encounter many things in life that we never planned for. And you know what happens, right? When things don't go the way that we wanted them to go, you know what happens to us? We end up with a whole lot of crazy emotions. We feel angry, we're anxious, we're confused, we feel depressed and frustrated, even hopeless. One guy said to me recently, regarding the whole current pandemic situation, the devastating impact it's having at home and throughout the world. He said to me, listen, you see this year 2020, we should just cross this year out and forget about the rest of the year, because nobody saw this coming. That sounds like a really hopeless statement, right? Have you ever had similar thoughts? Everything is just going wrong and I didn't even see this coming. But let me tell you this, God saw it coming, and he saw it coming a long time ago. When we say nobody could have planned for this, God says otherwise. In the scriptures in the book of Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 11, hear what God says concerning his chosen people at the time, a long time ago. And those people, they were in a really desperate situation. They were slaves, they were captives. And even at that time, their minds weren't even about God. They weren't even thinking about God. But God still said to them, listen, I know the plans that I have for you. Plans of peace and not evil, not to do you harm, but plans of hope and to give you a good future. Well, you might say, listen, you might question and say, God, hear what? Those plans, those can't be for me, because you know what? Your plan right now doesn't really make much sense to me at all. I'm confused. I'm in pain. I'm depressed. I'm afraid. I'm struggling to make ends meet, and I don't even know how this is going to end up. Well, let me ask you this. If, on one hand, it's God's intention for you to have a good future and a hope and a good end, and on this hand, you can't even see how your own crisis will end up, wouldn't you trust his vision and not your own? God knows the beginning of your crisis. He knows the process that you must endure during the crisis, and he also knows the end result of your crisis. And he wants to show us all this. But guess what? We have to see it through his lens and not our own. His lens and not our own. Check this out. What a difference this makes, right? I have this type of lens on right now. I can see clear. It's fine. But just check this out. Look at this. I put this beauty on. Whoa. You can see, I can hardly see some things out right now. It's so dark. It's just a different picture for me right now. All right. And this just reminds me about an incident that happened, a little story that is a true story, by the way. A little while ago, there's a woman traveling on board a ferry there a little while ago. And, as this lady, she's driving a car on board, and she became really, really anxious. She's in a car and she gets anxious and she starts to panic, and she's saying, it's too dark in here, I can't see anything, and the officer who was in charge of loading the vehicles at the time, he just calmly walks over to her and says, ma'am, perhaps if you take your sunglasses off, you might be able to see better. And as she does that, she said, whew, oh yeah, that's true, that's right, I forgot, I can see now. And she became so much more relaxed. and at peace. What a change of emotions. Listen, our emotions can darken our understanding of God's purpose for our crisis. By changing our lens, when we change our lens, we see what God intends for us to see. When we feel like crumbling and falling apart, God intends to build character. When we are carried away by panic, God offers His peace. When we are crippled by fear, God wants us to walk by faith. When we are bound by depression, God wants to free us with His hope. When we are in pain, God just says, listen, you are in my process. Listen, by changing our lens, we will see that our self-portrait, that picture we had for ourselves, that great plan we had for ourselves, we would see that is not what the master artist, the great designer, has painted for our lives. We will be able to see more clearly once we change our lens that whatever we are experiencing now is just a part of God's unfolding plan for our lives. And you know what? He's allowing you to see His portrait in parts at a time. And He wants you to trust that the end product is going to be so awesome. Listen, you have a future to live for. And not just any future, all right? But one that the master artist has custom designed for you. And you have to trust Him. You got to trust Him to show that to you. Remember, our dark crisis is just the opportunity to see the light of God's purpose. Because when life is uncertain, God is certain. Till next time, take care. Bye-bye.